In the beginning, the world was a simple, peaceful place, because the gods had kept evil and good locked in a large jar. Then, one day, they decided to give the jar to beautiful Pandora, saying, "Whatever you do, don't look inside." But Pandora is human. She's curious. She disobeys. She opens the jar, and misery and evil enter the world. That's one explanation, at least from a story told long ago. The world today is a different place, but misery and evil remain. And where misery and evil prevail, civilization stalls. The ideals of humanity, harmony, and respect for one another become remote, enjoyed by only a fortunate few. Every year, misery and evil drive millions of people from their homes. They migrate to faraway lands looking for a new beginning. What they find are borders, checkpoints. Sometimes, for a moment, a gate may open. A tiny stream of the fortunate squeezes through. They point at you and say, "Stand here." They take your mugshot. They fingerprint you and you feel like a criminal. Except they smile at you from time to time. Believe me, I know how it feels. This, after all, is my story too.
Czechoslovakia tonight is caught in the iron grip of Soviet troops. And those of four
In 1968, my homeland, Czechoslovakia, was occupied by the Soviet Union and its Warsaw Pact allies. We tried to fight for a while to defend our fledgling democracy, but we really had no chance. This is Traiskirchen, the refugee camp in Austria that we went through after crossing the Iron Curtain. I could be any of these people. Misery tends to make everyone look alike. Here is my son David, our baby Adam, my wife Eva, and me some 25 years ago. And this is me today. As you can tell, I've put on some mileage. My name is Vladimír Kabelik. I'm a documentary filmmaker and I want to invite you to enter the lives of a few people who, like me, fought for their beliefs and ended up in exile. Meet Aaron Berhane from Eritrea. Forced to leave his family behind, he was lucky to escape with his life. And this is Mir Madawi from Kabul, Afghanistan, where he felt more secure in prison awaiting his execution than outside, hiding from the Taliban. Aaron and Mir are now my friends. They are not filmmakers but journalists. Curious by profession, they asked questions their governments didn't want to hear. Harassed, hunted and persecuted, they both found a refuge in Canada. Misery and evil can destroy people's lives, but sometimes they give them a mission and the strength to pursue it.
Our newspaper, we started in August 1997 with a circulation 5,000. We started just from our pocket, 3 of us. Within 5 or 6 years, we didn't see a change that can convince us, okay, this government is heading towards good. For example, people who were disabled in the war, they had so many demands, but the government, instead of responding, they were told by the president to be shot, even though they were simply asking for a change. We want to know how this country is run, because this country is run without constitution. But when we started to raise the issue, then that starts to create problem for us.
When Mr. Karzai took power in Afghanistan, more than 75% of the cabinet seat was taken by mujahideen or warlords. It was very important for us to stop corruption, to stop the people who had bloody hands. I remember the first problem which we faced. I got a phone call. He told me, I'm calling from Security Ministry and we can give you as much money as you want and we can give you a political position in any ministry if you want. But if you continue your job, we'll stop you. By the point of gun, we will kill you.
They were waiting for me outside of my home. Their face was almost covered because of the hat. Is that you, Aaron? They said, yeah, it's me. We just need to advise you. It's better to slow down your criticism. What criticism? Whatever you write on your paper. Then they get upset and you just put out their gun and this is your last chance.
They published a fake newspaper under the design of Aftab, the name of Aftab, but the fake articles, they were attack to Islam. And they published this newspaper with a big number of print run and make a big campaign to collect the signature of Muslim cleric or mullah against me and ask Afghan Supreme Court to kill me.
Our president was happy to shut down our newspaper and he came to arrest us too. So they visited my home. Unfortunately, I was not home that night. It was not only my home, but other journalists' home too.
They arrested me in a very, bad way. 5-6 police car with, a lot of soldiers. The first person he guided me to the cell, he said, I have your torture sentence. Be ready tonight and you will have a very hard time tonight.
I had also one colleague who was in hiding, and so we decided to escape together. Our guide told us, okay, this is the border of Sudan. While he was explaining to us, in all directions, the soldiers said, stop where you are. It was very scary. I never hesitated to run because I knew if I was captured, I would be tortured to death to reveal my sources. The army opened fire. After I ran almost for 2 hours, I started to check. It was only me who managed to escape. But unfortunately, my colleagues, both of them were captured and they are thrown to jail.
A big amount of money came from international support to International Bank in Kabul. And the smart representative of United Nations in Kabul, he said to Mr. Karzai, listen, my friend, if you want this financial support, you need to believe freedom of speech. If you believe, release the journalist. If you don't, unfortunately, we cannot do nothing for you. We can't give this money to you.
You are telling me that this man, good old President Karzai is the guy who signed your death sentence, then he released you from jail just to get some cash?
Yes, and also on top of that, he made an agreement with the terrorists to kill me on the street when I was out of jail.
It's hard to believe. Everybody in Ottawa loves the guy.
Yeah, because that's the way politics works.
For those who have never had to cut their roots, it is difficult to understand how crippling this experience can be. Alone in a new land, negotiating a new culture, constantly worrying about the family you left behind, there will be days when your new life will seem as gloomy as the old. And for expressive people, journalists, writers, actors, filmmakers, the burden is even greater. Your most important tool, your facility with your native language, is now useless. You are dispossessed and you are voiceless too. This film is a mosaic, not a traditional story with a beginning, middle and end. Because life in exile is like a mosaic, or like some horrible buffet of experiences catered by destiny. Constantly on the run, you catch at this experience or that, trying to piece together a new future.
We offer everything from housing to programs that help them find lawyers, get them into school, learn English, everything that will basically help them call Canada home.
Even in safe havens like Romero House, exiles are often haunted by their past. This young woman, once a journalist in her homeland, is still afraid to show her face on camera or to give her name. Mother and child are in limbo. The date of their immigration hearing has yet to be set.
They walk into this room neutral. The judge walks into the room neutral.
Mohsin Abbas, a journalist from Pakistan, saw too much death and suffering in his native province of Waziristan to be shy about speaking his mind in public.
And by the end of the hearing, they're either swayed to your position or they're swayed against you, depending on what you say and how you say it.
And the result? A self-imposed exile in Canada, after his colleague and friend, Haya al-Khan, was kidnapped and murdered, and after Khan's wife and his youngest brother were shot execution style. The murders were a warning against the dream of free speech.
I wrote about that incident. And that's the first time when police came after me. They detained me illegally, and they tortured me badly, and harassed my family, tortured my family members. Then I escaped the country, and I'm here today waiting for my hearing in a refugee boat in Canada.
So today is the big day.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel good.
What's your prediction for today?
I feel confident, I do.
This day may very much change your life.
Yeah.
Are you prepared?
Yes.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you.
Thank you. Journalists seem to feel connected to one another and to their common cause. Canadian Journalists for Free Expression is an organization that supports that cause. Yes, they need some protection.
Canadian Journalists for Free Expression is an organisation that champions free expression in Canada and around the world. We work to support journalists who are under attack. In 2007, more than 105 journalists were killed around the world, and that number is increasing every year.
How do you help them specifically?
First of all, we give them a meeting place. They're each other's best resource. They're really the only people who understand what they've gone through, and a lot of them are going through the refugee and immigration process, and they come to us for support through that process. And we collect information on them, and here are some of the journalists in exile that we see.
I was curious, perhaps even a bit jealous of this kind of organized support. When I came to Canada, there was no such solidarity in the filmmaking community. So I went to see John Hendrick, the former publisher of the Toronto Star, who continues to be one of the biggest contributors to the cause of displaced journalists.
I've heard about your generous support for journalists, and especially the people who were harassed, persecuted, who now living in exile. I also heard that you offered scholarships. You even helped them with money on more than one occasion. So I have a very simple question. Why are you doing all of this?
I think if there has been a theme in my life, it has been the pursuit of excellence in journalism. My passion has been to try and carry on that tradition, but to do so in a philanthropic sense. And I'm doing that not only in Canada, but also trying to do it in certain areas around the world as well. And so I think excellence in journalism is absolutely critical for the healthy functioning of any society. And I think ultimately, the more we do that, the healthier we'll be as a world.
It may be true that everyone's first reaction to misery and evil is fear, but there are some who find the strength to laugh in the face of oppression. It is a response not always appreciated by the powerful. Take the case of Nick Kosar, a political cartoonist from Iran who, like Aaron, Mir, and Moshin, one day saw the writing on the wall.
Cartoonists are probably a crazy bunch of philosophers and clowns who can draw funny things that people understand what they're talking about and remember for a long time. It is totally dangerous to be a cartoonist, especially in Iran. In January 2000, an American reporter came to Tehran, and he had a very big suitcase with him. He landed at the office of a fixer, and he made a joke about the reporter's big suitcase. He said that this guy has brought millions of dollars to bribe reformist journalists against hardliners. So Ayatollah Mesbah Yazdi charged the reporter. So I drew that crocodile cartoon to play with that idea.
Why did you choose the figure of the crocodile?
Because of crocodile tears and the symbolism. Because the hardliners, they were pretending that they were being victimized by weaker, independent journalists. And Professor Crocodile in Persian is Ustad Temsah. It rhymes with the name of Ustad Mesbah or Ayatollah Mesbah, who was the powerful Ayatollah. So the whole thing became an unfortunate event, and they were on a mission to ask the judiciary to actually execute me. Because of that cartoon, I went to prison. And when I got out of prison, an American reporter came to my office. That reporter was Daniel Pearl. I met Daniel Pearl. And he was asking me questions about how did I get to that idea of drawing a crocodile that somehow resembled the Ayatollah. And I had no idea that there would have been any connections between my cartoon and his presence in Tehran.
Of course, we know the story of Daniel Pearl. When he left Tehran, he went to Pakistan.
He went to India and Pakistan.
And he was kidnapped in Pakistan.
In 2002, yes.
And then he was killed.
With his talent, his facility with languages, and with his full-time job, Nick could easily be seen as a fearless model of success. especially in an easygoing Canadian city where censorship and oppression are just remote, bizarre-sounding words. But although willing to appear himself, Nick Kosar avoided filming scenes with his wife and daughter, afraid that the long arm of the Iranian Secret Service might just be tempted to destroy their illusion of free and safe Canadian home.
Nick Kosar.
Hi, John Ferry.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I understand that you're a graphic artist?
I'm a cartoonist, yes, a literal cartoonist.
You're from Iran?
I'm from Iran, yeah.
Where did you work in Iran?
Probably tens of newspapers that were banned.
Ah.
Yes, that's the thing.
Okay. Were they banned because they published your cartoons?
No, probably one or two were banned because of my cartoons, because they were reformist papers, and the conservatives that ran the judiciary didn't like them.
Right.
Most of my stuff are online, so but probably. This was actually published. This is my character. It's called Sick Nick, based on my own name, because it must be sick to be a cartoonist working in Iran. So that's the thing. This was before Saddam's execution.
Is there any other place to see your work?
On New York Times Syndicate and on Kaggle.com, and I'm starting my own website. My cartoon website will be running probably in July.
Like any career, journalism is a world split between the giants and the little guys. They both chase headlines and fight production deadlines, but the big guns do it with the help of the latest technology and solid financial backing, while the little guys have only their brains and their hands to spread their message. For Aaron Berhane, life would be far easier and more profitable if he would only agree to change his occupation. But for people like him, getting their message out is a mission, not a job. And if bare hands are all that you have to spread the message, so be it.
Hello, welcome home. This is my new home, from underground to the upground now. So this is my real place, this is my kitchen. And this is my living room. Look, this new carpet, they have put it for me. And my computer is over here, That is very fancy place now. This is a real home, I have a beautiful view over here. So it is really fancy. The pictures of my family, everything is okay.
We worked for almost 3 years on this film to cover various stages in our characters' lives. With Aaron and with Mir too, we captured not only the daily struggles, but also some happy, unforgettable moments.
It's November 28, 2006, and I got my first son in Canada.
As time passed, things just kept getting better. After his long political struggle and an exhausting prison ordeal, after crossing mountains, oceans and continents, and after months of delivering pizza in his new Canadian homeland, in the spring of 2007, Mir finally achieved his dream. He was hired by the Hamilton Spectator as their web reporter. Around the same time, Nick started publishing his work in the Canadian media. and in May 2008, Moshin won his appeal and was granted permission to stay in Canada.
So Mohsen, go on, tell us your news.
My refugee case is finally accepted.
Oh my God, that's fabulous!
Isn't that great news?
Oh, chin chin! Oh my God, that's great!
Cheers.
That was today, right?
Yeah, this afternoon.
Wow.
After going through that court case for so long and meeting with lawyers again and again and again, did it feel like a bit of an anticlimax today when it was just over like that?
Oh, I had tears when she said, I'm going to give you a positive decision. I said, let me hold my tears. She might get upset. Because she haven't signed anything yet. I just hold my tears right there. And I was not like dizzy, but my eyes were like circling around the ceiling, you know.
For Moshin, the joy of today's victory is only a first step. Now he begins a new mission to bring over the 5 surviving children of the Haya Allah Khan's family. Marked for life in Pakistan, Canada may be their only safe home and future. But how safe is this country, really? And how strong and willing is it to protect its citizens from misery and evil?
It was around 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. I was coming back toward my car. I had parked my car here. When I was around this point, I realized someone is walking close from my back, from my behind. So I turned my head back to see what's going on, and I was punched very strongly, and I fell down in this floor. And I think I was here about an hour. When I woke up, I saw my body, my shirt was totally bloody. About an hour before this incident, I was in Toronto. I was delivering my speech about what's going on in Afghanistan. And I strongly believe there is a connection and relationship between this incident, this attack, and what I said in that speech in Toronto.
The officials from the Canadian Security Intelligence Service have so far declined our requests for an interview. And there have been other setbacks too.
So, Aaron, what is this picture?
This is the staff of my newspaper.
Right.
This is me.
Right.
And this is my colleague, Sir Johannes Joshua, who died in prison.
How did you learn about him?
I received this information from the Reporters Without Border, and this is the news about him. Sources say, writer and journalist say, Joshua Johannes has died in detention.
He's died in detention.
Yeah. This is his wife.
Right.
And there's are his 2 children who left behind.
So you were the lucky one?
I'm the luckiest person, yeah. I managed to flee, but unfortunately he didn't.
Watching the fragile lives of these exiled journalists, winning one day, losing the next, I think again of Pandora. I imagine her desperately trying to slam the lid back on the jar rim, forcing one injustice back in while 2 others squeeze out on the other side. We all want journalists to fight for our sense of justice, but when they do and they come into harm's way, few of us are willing to come to their rescue.
I fled my country when my newspaper was shut down by the government in 2001, and the security forces came to arrest me. Fortunately, I managed to flee, but my colleagues, 15 colleagues, are still in jail. 4 of them died in prison. I know you are a strong advocate of human rights. I'm wondering if you could help me in bringing the issue of the imprisoned Eritrean journalists to the attention of the Canadian government.
Let's start with the nature of the charges against them, any evidence, the conditions of detention, etc. What I would call the facts and law of the case.
The main issue of the Eritrean journalists They are in jail simply because they are journalists.
Erwin Kotler is one of Canada's most prominent lawyers and human rights activists. Before becoming Minister of Justice and Attorney General, he acted as legal counsel for Nelson Mandela, Andrei Sakharov, Nathan Sharansky, and other prisoners of conscience. Aaron could hardly have found a better advocate to plead for the lives of his jailed colleagues.
We have more prison camps than schools.
Has the Canadian government done anything up to now?
Not yet.
How do you think that Canada might be able to help you?
There is an Eritrean ambassador in Canada. I went to Canada to summon this ambassador and caution him to give an adequate explanation about the situation of those journalists. Because it is a shame for Canada to collaborate with the dictatorial government like Eritrea.
Long after we started filming, I stumbled on Mike Odonkara, a photojournalist from Uganda, and I felt that his story held the last few pieces needed to complete my mosaic. Back home, he had created an archenemy by taking a picture of a car wreck, a common enough task for a journalist. Unfortunately, the car belonged to the Ugandan Interior Minister, who had been driving it while drunk. Here, the minister would have been forced to resign. In Uganda, he just pulled his gun. Seeking to evade the minister's anger, Mike escaped to Canada, a choice that turned out to be almost as painful.
You know, there's no pain without gain, man.
One day, while biking through his new neighborhood, Mike was hit by a car. His leg was badly mangled and his camera shattered beyond repair. When we met, Mike had been working in a slaughterhouse, thousands of miles away from home, from his wife and children, and due to his injury, also far from any new photojournalistic opportunities. He was in pretty bad shape.
I feel bad. Right now, when I look at it, my heart just breaks down. But I don't feel to look at it again because I don't have it. I wish I could hold it with this breath.
The thugs, they were fighting with the police. They were robbing another car. So I jumped off the bike into the trench with my camera. I found myself in between the thugs and the police. So I could turn my camera here, turn my camera there, take click, 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 click. I'm down in the middle. They thought I was maybe a soldier or something like that because I had my long zoom. Just turn the gun. I don't know whether they want to shoot here or whatever, I don't know. So I didn't realize I was shot. I wouldn't mind because I continue shooting the picture, right? I was not feeling anything. It's the same like this accident. I want to shoot my picture even if I'm dying. You have it in the camera, in the film. Somebody's going to print it and see it. That's my feeling. They don't like it, definitely, because they fear the truth. But very few of us whom we were taking ourselves die hard. We continue persisting.
Well, you know, I know the story myself. If you're not on the side of the government, you easily get in a deep.
But then it means your profession has been compromised. The truth will set you free. We have to call a spade, but not a big spoon. That's what the logic should be like.
You had to leave your family behind.
Yeah, indeed. I left my family and I miss them. I don't want to think about it, but I had a little kid that I left her. She was just only 2 weeks. I need to see my kids, my family, grow up with me together. But here I've been deprived. Hello. Hi, little girl. How are you doing? You from the church? Did you pray today? Okay, can you sing for me? the song you sang today in the church. We haven't gone to the church. I haven't gone to church. No, I do. I do pray. Come on. What are you talking about? Have my Bible here. Huh? That's life, man. There's nothing I can do at the moment. Just pray. Just keep on praying and that's it. At one point, everything will be fine.
I help you with this.
I'm telling you. You drove how many legs?
And Wolf is coming. Hi, Wolf.
Hi, Vlad. How you doing?
Good. This is Mike Odonkera.
Pleased to meet you.
I told you about him, and you know what? Now I leave him in your good hands.
Wonderful. Well, come on in. Come on in. If you had to live with just, let's say, 5 or 6 pictures that you have in this selection of, all the folders and that, find me those pictures, and that's all we're going to look at.
Yeah, I want you to see that, okay, this picture is good, right? You are the photographer, so you have an eye for a strong picture.
Like this is a very nice shot, but it's a cute kid. What's that going to tell you?
Okay, the story behind that child has been born in the camps, internal displaced camp. And the father probably also was moved into camp when he was a little kid.
But what you would have to do then, in order to make that picture work, you would have to put a caption on it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You need to have the picture tell the story. This one here, you don't really need a caption for it in order to express the emotion here. So would you like to select that one for one? Okay, so let's go with this one here.
For Mike, meeting Wolf was a godsend. And for me, every day with my new friends meant another step on a journey deeper into their lives. As these relationships grew, I began to feel less like a filmmaker and more like a mediator, sometimes a therapist. It made me remember my own experience and how important it was when strangers stepped up to help me and my family.
There's your first exhibition print.
I have begun to think that one day these folks will step up for somebody else.
Yeah, that's cool.
When we were here last time, you were a busy man. You were working for the Hamilton Spectator, you were driving your car. What happened since?
I lost my job and now I'm looking for another opportunity. It was very sudden. It was kind of shocking for every member of the family, especially for Katira, my daughter. She was very upset about this. It's really hard to find a permanent job, especially when your job is related to your language.
Whenever I have time, when I'm waiting for passenger, so it's a good time for me to build an English skill in my life. So I have some card with me here. One side is it's an English word, and the other side I have the Persian meaning on the top, and the bottom I have a sentence example. So it helped me to memorize the word. Every day I could memorize 20 to 30 words, and I have my notebook here, and I would write any word to learn how to write. So it's a very good time for me. It's a kind of using my extra time to build a good language in my work.
When I learned about the latest turn in Mir's life, I decided to introduce him to Marta Kumsa, a remarkable woman who spent 10 years in prison in her native Ethiopia. It's not easy to be a journalist in many parts of the world, but it's 10 times harder to be a female journalist. Marta now lives in Kitchener, Ontario, and lectures at nearby Wilfrid Laurier University. While driving, I was thinking about what might be going through Mir's mind, with so much lost and so little gained so far. By now, he could have become the director of state television in Afghanistan, a member of parliament, or perhaps Karzai's ambassador somewhere, if he had only agreed to play the game. But he didn't. Undefeated by the Taliban but stressed to the breaking point by the reality of his Canadian existence, I knew he was looking for inspiration and some good advice.
They didn't like what I was writing. And when I went to my office, people were waiting for me. And they said, 10 minutes questions and you'll be back. And I knew better because nobody they took away ever came back, you know. It was other people who didn't know my face or name who actually gave me hope in a hopeless situation. There's a goodness in humanity. And I kind of committed my life to nurture that spirit of humanity. And that human spirit it just loves nurturing. And that's the hope I want to give to others now, because others gave me hope. Are you Mir?
Yeah, how are you?
I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, thank you. I really love to see you.
Oh,
I'm glad to see you here.
I'm glad you came here.
Thank
This
you,
place
thank
is
you.
so inspiring. I hope you get inspired by this. You want to
Thank
show?
you so
You want me
much.
to show you around?
Please, yeah, please do
come,
so.
Come, let me show you around.
Marta was great. She explained all the ups and downs of academia in case Mir ever decided to follow her lead. I know he would make a great teacher, but maybe not yet. Every year, Canadian journalists and their many media friends meet at the International Press Freedom Awards held in downtown Toronto. The food is great, drinks are plentiful, and, at least for one night, all the attendees put aside their differences and political loyalties. They celebrate their achievements, honor their stars, but they also remember their fallen colleagues.
It's truly an honor for someone like me who has never, ever been in the line of danger.
I thought this would be the place where my new friends could all meet for the first time and could belong, could feel that so far from home, this is their place too. I wanted this evening to be not just another scene in my film, but an important moment in their own lives. Nobody really knows what the future holds for Mir, Aaron, Moshin, Nick, or Mike, or others like them. They struggle, fight, but will they ever make it? Eventually, they will all reach a point of no return. They will make their home here or forever be homeless. So far from home, can they maintain their sense of mission? Will Aaron's marriage last? Will Mike's? As a filmmaker, I have offered you a window onto their lives, but no definite answers, no guarantees, except, perhaps, remember Pandora? Horrified by what has happened, she rushes to replace the lid that had protected the world from misery and evil. To her amazement, she sees that the jar is not empty. There, looking up, is the last gift left for her to give. Thin, humble hope.
I want to go and hug the judge because thank you for releasing me, you know.
Here in Canada, you have ups and downs. Last week I was talking about the good sides of a free market and a free country. Now I'm
talking about the other aspect. Last week I had a job here, and I don't have it anymore.
We have something, heard of your story, and we'd like to present you with
Okay.
something.
Right, thank you. In advance.
In advance,
yes.
yes.
Wow.
Voila. So you can start shooting.
Seriously. People are always good.
Right.
You know?
You gotta believe, right?
Thank you. Yes. When you pray, you get.
There you go.
I would work for Afghanistan as much as I can, and I will work for Canada as much as I can. But I will be a citizen of the world.
The Canadian government refused an entry visa to the Eritrean foreign minister. That's the first step. It is really encouraging. I hope the Canadian government will do more to discipline the Eritrean government in the future.